There has to be synergy. It really is about having this sort of buy-centered stack.
Right, because even if it is something that even if it's something they're not gonna turn and put back on their lot, they know what their wholesale buyers will buy.
That's right. CarMax is really good at buying every single car, and they're equally as good at selling the ones that they don't really want. It certainly does go back to, again, just knowing your data and knowing all the information to make sure you're making the best decision. If you're struggling with acquisitions, one, I would lean on some of the people out there in the industry to ask for help. There's a number of people out there that have been doing this for a very, very long time that can absolutely assist and guide you with a strategy at least. So you're pulling customers together in a way because you're looking at exactly what's in your own database versus having to go out there and hope and pray and wish that you find that car.
Right. Supply and demand actually has a way to actually be met now.
That's right.
Hey, welcome to the Social Grenade podcast, where today we're going to be talking acquisition, not a dirty word, but we're going to be talking with Frank Knox from AutoAcquire AI. And there's so many things that are moving forward in a different direction with acquisition. And I think that although this conversation gets had in little pockets, that it needs to be more mainstream, that we're talking about how are we going about acquiring cars at the dealership. I mean, I don't think the auction is the end all be all. I think that really is driving grosses down, don't you? Welcome, Frank.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate it. Always good to connect with you, for sure.
Yeah, I love it too. So what do you think about the auctions? Like,
look, for me, and I've long had this approach that I've never thought of the auctions as a bad place to go and get inventory. I think it just really comes down to having the right strategy when you go. And I think that's what gets lost, is that people go to the auction, they have a bad experience, they buy some cars, they come back, either the cars are, they're a piece of junk and they have to arbitrate them and that doesn't go so well, or they pay too much money for the car because they got caught up in their emotions. But if you go in with a strategy and know exactly, hey, this is my buy plan, this is what I want to go out there and source, this is what I want to pay for it, and this is the only conditions that I'm willing to settle for. I've had, in my 23-ish years, I've had tremendous success at the auctions. Now, that doesn't mean that success supersedes the success that I have when I buy a car directly from the consumer. But it does mean that if I'm in a pinch and I need a piece of inventory, I can go to the auction, I can find that piece of inventory, pay the right money for it, get it back to my dealership. And guess what? When I have that really good piece of inventory that I bought from the auction, I'm going to get a trade on that car, more than likely. So, again, like I know that, the industry really got soured on auctions after, really post-pandemic.
Right.
But if you go back years, like auctions were all the rage. Right. And it wasn't until prices got really crazy with, the Hertz rental car and Enterprise and Avis and all the rental car companies jumping into the auction and buying versus selling. Right. That all of a sudden the auctions were the evil place to go buy cars. Right.
What's funny is I remember, so two things. When I remember during the pandemic, like the rental car companies dumping their inventory, right? Because nobody was traveling. So they're dumping all of these vehicles into the market. And so when you did travel, like renting a car was nearly impossible. Or I got one time, I'm not even kidding you. It looked like they borrowed it from their neighbor who had like 2 German Shepherds. And it was the nastiest from a rental car company. Like it smelled like dog. There was dog hair in there. Yeah. Like they were, I don't know where they were sourcing cars at, but I think they were literally like, so during that time, I rented from Turo. Like I wouldn't rent from the rental car companies because I could rent from Turo at a price that was more affordable than I could the rental car companies because they dumped all their inventory. They didn't have anything to rent. Yeah. But the second thing is, so my boys who are all grown right now, I mean, I bought all of their first vehicles at a local auction here in Joplin, Missouri. That was like, we had one of those old school auctions that, pre-owned dealers would like run their stuff through or whatever. Yeah. And they had a budget of $500. That's what we were going to spend on their vehicle. I was a single mom like this. You're going to go pick out 3 cars that you think will go for $500 and I'm going to buy them I'll buy it at auction. So my son Sawyer, who turned 40 this week, his first car. And so you'd have to know Sawyer's 6'4", just this long arms and legs. He's all arms and legs.
Okay.
He picked out a 1985 Honda Prelude. That's what he had to have, was that Honda Prelude. I'm like,
oh my
how are you going to fit in that thing, man? He loved that car so much. And he drove the wheels off of it, but that was his first vehicle. And I bought it for $500 at the auction.
Yeah. And it was probably a stylish car, and it probably got him some good miles. And, so again, like, look, I truly believe like the auctions will forever have a place.
Yeah.
I think they will evolve, right? And we've seen that evolution, right? Like auctions went from, all right, we'll run every car through the lane, to now we'll just do it virtually, to now they're gravitating back towards, oh, you know what? We should drive these through the lane again, right? Like, so there's, I think they evolve, but I don't ever see the auctions just going away, because they'll always be needed. And so when you think about that, and what I coach dealers on is that, look, there are no bad channels to get inventory, right? Like your strategy may be bad when you go to buy that inventory, but that doesn't make the channel bad. Yeah. And so that's what we have to we have to put things in perspective. And I was actually talking to Brian Kramer about this, a while back, because, we were talking about like everyone's gravitated towards, we need to buy direct from consumer, and we need to do service drive acquisitions, and we have to have the appraisals. And I said, well, what about all the other channels, right? What about the auctions? What about rental cars? What about, going to right to the OEMs and trying to buy cars, at the closed sales? Like what about all of these other places that you can get cars from? Dealer trades, right? Like having a dealer trade network. That's another avenue to buy cars from. Like all of these things, buying cars directly from wholesalers. All of these things are a way to get the inventory that you need, but you have to know exactly, one, what you need. Two, what are you prepared to pay for it, right? Like, and that's your top dollar. And then you need to be able to understand that, what is my historical performance on that car that tells me that I should go out and buy it?
Right.
So, you think about that, and Kramer wrote about it. I wrote about it, a while back, but it really is this, Billy Beane philosophy of the data really should be the one thing that really guides you, right? Like, the Oakland A's were the Oakland A's because they were doing something differently than everybody else was doing. And if you're not willing in this day and age, in this market, to do something different, you're gonna get stuck in the mud for a really, really long time.
Well, AutoAcquire AI, I'm sure, meets a lot of those channels right there. But you mentioned something that I think is really valuable. So two things actually. One of them is, I have a client that is very strategic about what he buys. If he sells a Hyundai Sonata, he replaces it with a Hyundai Sonata on his pre-owned lot, right? Like he goes car for car. Like, this is what I want to replace this one. If I can't find it at auction, now I'm looking for people in the area that have that. And then, his VBC is reaching out to registered Hyundai Sonata owners, going, do you want to sell this vehicle? He knows what sells in his market. He's very attuned with that. But the second thing is, I probably forgot what it was by now. I'm not kidding you. Like, that happens to me. Like, you get over 60, that crap just happens. Like a big old air bubble goes through your brain. But I think that, the network of people, right? Like, if you think about like maybe a Toyota Tacoma is super popular, can't keep them in stock, pre-owns in stock in this part of the country. But over here, there's dealers like going, oh my God, I got like 15 Tacomas that aren't moving, blah, blah, blah. Like that dealer network, like that, being able to go, hey, like they may be bottom dollaring it because they need to get it moved because it's 90 days or plus older. Whereas the value of it to a dealer in South Dakota is a lot higher. And like, he may go, you know what, you've got it listed at that right there. Would you take this? I will be able to take 4 of those off your hands. And I think creating that dealer network, if somebody, hasn't already done it, would be like a really smart thing to do.
Yeah. So, you mentioned a couple things there. So one, right? Understanding that, look, if I sold a Hyundai Sonata, right, and I take everything from everyone that I've talked to, and I just start to use it to make sense of where things are going. And something that even Jason Rice, this is going back a ways that he and I were talking about, and Jason Rice is with Lot Walk, right? Like he and I were talking about, and he's like, look, if you sold a Hyundai Sonata, but you sold that Hyundai Sonata in 2 days, but you had 5 leads on it, why are you just going out to buy one?
Right.
Right? Like you really should be going out to buy 3 or 4 of them based on how hot those leads were, so that you don't miss those sales, because those customers, they just went to someplace else to buy that car. So now you think about that and you go, well, Frank, how do I even find that car? Right? Like, how do I go and find 4 Hyundai Sonatas, let alone find 1 Hyundai Sonata? So, you mentioned like AutoAcquire, we do a number of things. Like one of the things that AutoAcquire AI does is we go and we not only are we going in and finding cars that are coming out of the service drive or coming through your website on a lead, but with our software, we're expanding the garage, and with the name and phone number of an individual, I can see what else that individual owns. So imagine now if not only did I put an offer on that one car that you brought in, but I'm able to see the other cars that you own. But now I have this CRM that I can go in and filter and go, show me every Hyundai Sonata that my customers own.
Epic BDC is a proud sponsor of the Social Grenade podcast. Tune in.
And now, what have I done? If I'm in it doesn't matter the market, but especially if I'm in a small market. So take Joplin, right? Smaller market. If I knew that every customer that came to me, I'm going to go after my own customers and try to buy their Hyundai Sonatas. What does that do? How does that create my reputation in that market, right? I become the resource for, hey, I want to buy every car in this market. At some point or another, I'm going to be reaching out to buy those cars. But also, I've created this persona in my market of being, hey, this is the dealership to go to. You want to buy cars, right? You want to sell cars? Go to this dealership. They are going to not only buy your car, but they have great selection. And guess what? If they don't have what you need, so this goes to that dealer network. If they don't have what you need, they have a way that maybe they can get that car bought from a customer who's trying to sell that car that you had no idea about.
Right. So I have 2 questions. I have 2 questions following up on that right there. So my first question, I wrote them down this time. I went and grabbed my piece of paper so it wouldn't have a vapor lock again. So even for like small dealerships, let's go, I don't know, they sell between 100 and 125 cars a month. We'll say that that's a smaller size dealership. Do you think that at that level, they should have a dedicated car buyer? Because I think I see a lot of GMs doing that job. They're like sitting somewhere, or pre-owned managers or whatever, sitting behind a screen, or they're doing whatever, and they're the guy in charge of making sure that they have those vehicles. At what point is it make sense to have a dedicated person that's shaking all of these trees?
So let me ask you a question. I'm going to ask a question back. So when you go in and you see that general manager or that GSM or whomever, and they're doing that and they're doing it on a part-time basis, how long do you see them interacting on the auctions?
Probably like I've had meetings with some of them, and they'll be distracted between me and the screen because they're doing it online. You know what I'm saying? And they're like, hang on, I'm waiting on this one to come on, blah, blah, blah. And so I don't know how, I've worked inside of a dealership. I don't know how long you can maintain that. Like, are you having to schedule your time? I just think it's not sustainable.
And that's the point. It's not sustainable.
So financially though, at what level is there enough money in acquisition for them to hire that person to do that job?
Look, I think from day one that you should be hiring someone who is just an acquisition specialist for your store, because the return on investment on that more times than not, you're looking 5x, 10x of what you're paying that person if they're really doing it right and if they're really good. And the people that are really good are sitting there day after day, 10 to 12 hours a day, just looking at cars. So again, your example that you said, like this guy, he's sitting there, he's waiting, and he says, "Oh, I'm waiting for this one car to come up." Well, how many other one cars were out there in the market like that one? Right. And that's the piece that I think gets lost because, let's say, all right, you know what? I need a Ram 1500 night edition with a big screen, big roof, and, the 22s. There's not a lot of those out there, which means that for me to find that truck, I have to be willing to invest all the time to sit there and find that truck. And I can't just find one of them. I have to find multiple because I have to keep bidding to ensure that I'm going to get that car at the best possible price.
Right.
What happens is one of two things happens. One, that customer or that person who's sitting there buying, they get frustrated. And so they say, you know what? I really don't need the big screen and I really don't need the roof on this thing. You know what? I'll settle for, this night edition. I haven't seen any others in the last 3 hours. Right. Or they go, you know what? I found this one with all the options that I wanted to. And so I'm going to pay all the money for it. And I'm going to pay, I don't care what it takes. Both of those are absolutely disastrous because what you've missed out on is what about tomorrow if some run? What about the next day? What about, 5 hours from now when that buyer who's dedicated is still sitting in front of his laptop, right? Before I started with AutoAcquire, I managed a team, Unique Auto Sourcing. And, Justin Campbell and I, we came up with this idea that we would have a team go out there and source inventory just for customers at auction, right?
Like
just for
those unique pieces.
Yeah, just at auction, this team will go. And it wasn't even just unique. It was like, hey, if you need Altimas, we'll go find you Altimas, but we're going to find the Altimas that are the best version of itself. Meaning that we're going to find them, we're going to search until we find them within the dealer's given parameters, and we're not going to go outside that parameter. So if you tell me, hey, I need to be at 96 cost to market, that's what the buyers were looking for. Now, what happens is if you don't have that dedicated team to sit there and fish and wait, then you end up saying, you know what, 98% cost to market will work for me, right? Or 99 cost to market, that should work for me. But it really is about investing the time. And I learned this when I was at CarMax. And by the way, that Unique Auto Sourcing team, they're still in play. They're still out there fishing for dealers every single day. And I still talk to all those guys. I love them dearly. And so when I look at that and go, look, the time that these guys spend in front of the computer, 10 hours a day, you can't put a value on.
Yeah, I agree.
Even if they walk away with one car, right? Like that one car is more than likely the best version of itself because all day long they passed on 300, 400 other cars that they've been watching through auction, through smart auction, through ACV, through open lane, through rental car list. They've thumbed through so many cars just to come up with one or two.
Yeah, but what they learned and passing on all those too is when you're in a meeting with them now, they're like, hey, we're looking for blah, blah, blah. And they'll go, here's what I've seen. I've seen 12 of those go through the auction yesterday. The price point on them is going to be about right here. That's what they're going for at auction. Exactly. And now they know, they've got that education. So may have only purchased one vehicle. However, they picked up a whole day's worth of auction knowledge of like what's going on in the market out there today. Like they've got their finger on the pulse of what's happening there.
What we're doing is we're taking that information and passing that on to the dealer about what they should do on the direct from consumer side to say, look, I couldn't find any of these night edition Rams. The minute you have a customer come in with one, you need to be all in on that thing because there's none at the auction whatsoever. Right? And that's the piece that gets lost. And so like, if I go back to my days and what I learned all those years at CarMax being in acquisitions, what I learned was those times when we were the only body standing at the auction to the very last car. So let me back up. CarMax people would laugh at the CarMax buyers because we would get there the day before. Well, why do we get there the day before? The day before we get to the auction, we would walk every single car at the auction.
Nice.
So if there were 2,000 cars at the auction, we had a team of people that would walk every single car, touch them, smell them, climb in them, climb underneath them, start like we did it all. And then we would put a number on the ones that met our standard, which means that by the time we got to the auction the next day, out of the 2,000, maybe 500 of them met our standards that we wanted to buy. But all 500 of those cars had a value on them.
Mm-hmm.
And we stood in the lane until the very last car ran. And sometimes we came up empty. Sometimes you're the buyer standing there. You just watched 100 cars roll through in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and it's 0 degrees out and it's snowing and you're miserable and you're shivering with your cup of coffee. But what you gained was all of this product knowledge, all of this value knowledge that you took back the very next day to the store that you worked in. And the minute you were appraising cars, it clicked. Mm-hmm. I can be aggressive on this one. This one, I don't need to be that aggressive because I watched 5 of them run through the auction and nobody bid on them.
Right. So I think I had one more question too, and I appreciate that you smelled them because I hate a stinky car. Like that's like my thing. Like what I just went through the search process of finding an FJ Cruiser, and I wanted a 2014. I wanted it under 100,000 miles, and I had some criteria for it that I wanted. And one of the first things whenever I test drove this vehicle, I actually had to buy it in Indiana. Was that it didn't smell like it had been smoked in. It didn't smell like a flood car. They kind of smell like there's dirt in the vents sometimes if it's a flood car. Like they can't hide that from me. I have like a super, super sensitive nose. And I was just like, okay, this one smells good. I'm okay with that part of it. Now let's look at the rest of it. So I appreciate the smell function for real. Okay. So one of the things too, one of the things you said was I'm going to go through and I'm going to check all of my customers that I have inside my DMS or my CRM that own, this X vehicle. So shouldn't that be, if your dealership is acquisition focused, shouldn't that be a function of your BDC as well? These are the things we're looking for. Here's a list this month of the cars that we're looking for. Whether they do a call campaign out to the database that has those vehicles. But second of all, when they're taking or making calls to people who are...
The I'm a Car Chick podcast is a proud sponsor of the Social Grenade podcast. Listen now.
Dropping leads in there, and also go, hey, this month we're like really big on buying this, and this. If you know anybody that's in the market to sell their vehicle too, we buy them. Like, shouldn't that even be added to their script?
Yeah, it 100% should. And I think, I think even from top to bottom, right, in organizations, like more and more people are waking up and going, I got to learn more about this acquisition thing.
Right.
Like, what is all the craze? And for me, look, it's always been a craze. It's always been a passion of mine for, since I've come into the car business. But I was talking I was talking to Shasta yesterday and she reached out for a demo of AutoAcquire. And so we're talking through that and I'm showing her what we do and how we do it. And it dawned on me that, this is where the industry is going, is that no matter what role you're in the dealership, everybody in the organization should know what you're chasing for cars.
Right.
Right. I think about and you bring up a good point. One thing that I did when I was at Off Lease Only, as the director there, I had to go out and we had to find 1,000 cars a week.
Wow.
Like that was what we did, right? Like, so I only know inventory and acquisitions at scale because I went from CarMax to Off Lease Only. And when you thought like one of the things I did was I would give our BDC a list. Hey, here's our top 25 hit list.
Right.
If someone calls in with these cars, the alarm bells should go off.
Yes.
Sales consultants, I need you guys to have this list. Sales managers, GMs, everybody should know in the organization. Here's our top hit list. I don't care if that's 5 cars, 10 cars, 25 cars, right, whatever it is. To your point, the BDC should have working knowledge of if somebody calls in, you should absolutely be talking to them and passing that call over to someone to say, hey, I got one. I got this guy who's got a Ram Night Edition pickup truck. Somebody needs to talk to him right now.
Right.
Period.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and I don't know that I would have thought about that before us having this conversation. because I run an outsourced BDC as well. So Epic BDC, like when I get out of here, I'm probably going to go back to my general manager over there and go, look, call all of our dealers right now and find out what they're on the hunt for car wise. And I don't know that all of them know that. I don't know that all of them have a hit list, right? I don't know that if they're just like, I'm going to buy cars and I don't have a strategy.
Well, and I don't know that all of them have a place, a nice, tidy place to go and filter for those cars either, right?
So is that AutoAcquire? Is that what AutoAcquire does?
Yeah. So, I mean, we've built our own vehicle CRM, if you will, and we did that because we wanted to make it easy for the dealer to be able to filter and see every single car. Like if you're on the hunt for 2020 Ford Explorers, or to your point, if you're on the hunt, you have a customer that's hot for a 2014 FJ Cruiser, then fantastic. I'm going to go out and I'm going to build a filter for every FJ Cruiser that we've ever seen that we've put an offer on. And then I'm going to call every one of those customers and see if I can get that car bought at a reasonable price so that I can get it sold to you. Right. So I'm in one breath, like, hey, look, that customer, in some cases, you may have a customer that had no intention of selling that FJ Cruiser, but we put an offer on it because we knew they had it right through our garage expansion. Right. Think about that for a second. If all of a sudden Robin comes in and says, man, I am really in the market for an FJ Cruiser. I'm hot on it. It's nostalgic for me. I don't care what it costs me. I'll buy it for, 20 grand. Well, your offer to that customer a couple of weeks ago may have only been 15 grand, but now all right, well, I have Robin who she really wants this car. I'm going to do her a service by saying, I got you the car, but I got it a little bit cheaper, than 20. But hey, Mr. Customer over here, that you weren't happy with 15. What if I could get you 17? Right? Mm-hmm. Would you be interested? So you're pulling customers together in a way that really hasn't, I haven't really seen it be done before, in this sort of way, because you're looking at exactly what's in your own database versus having to go out there and hope and pray and wish that you find that car.
Right. Supply and demand actually has a way to actually be met now.
That's right.
I love that. So we'll all be adding some verbiage to that. And then, going, hey, maybe you guys need to take a look at, AutoAcquire for all of our dealers too. I'll have Shasta push that out to all of them, because I think that I always think that the dealership is working a couple of, maybe not decades, but maybe a half a decade behind, what really is going on out in the world. And I think that I was talking to somebody just a minute ago, we were talking about AI. And I think that AI, you and I go to conferences all the time, and every year there seems to be a theme. What is the theme of this year, right? Whether it was data a couple of years ago was the theme, and it just keeps rolling around to something every year is their hot button. Yep. And right now we're all wrapped up in AI, but I think the question that people aren't asking the dealerships, they're just selling their product and it has AI. I think about when I first started in automotive social and I went to my very first digital dealer, and I want to say that was probably 2014 or 2015. It was Vegas. So it might have been 2014, and it was the one at the end of, or maybe 2015. And it was the one in Vegas. It was the first one I ever went to. And I did that because I was new to automotive. And so I'm like, I need to understand everything about it. And so I need to go to this conference. I had to make a deal with my GM. I had to pay half of everything to go to get him to, he's like, oh, they're just all big parties, whatever. I'm like, well, they're not, it's not for me. Anyways. So, and I think about that first year that I went, and social media was barely mentioned. There was like zero, I think maybe 2 sessions that were on social media, and I'll tell you who they were. So one was Chevy Car Dude. Like he was pretty new to what he was doing. He was on YouTube and he had some success, and his PowerPoint was horrible. His wife should have proofread it before, like for spelling and grammar. I mean, it was horrible. And there was probably max 15 people in his session. Okay. And then there was another one, and I don't remember what it was about or who it was, but literally crickets in there too. Like nobody was interested in social media.
Right.
Move forward 1 year. now, like they have like so many social media sessions that next year. And then every vendor that was in the vendor space was like, okay, we offer this, and social media was like the bottom line, right? Like everybody added it on. And so I feel like that's what vendors are doing right now. All of this right now, and we have AI. Okay,
Well, and that's
but we're not addressing how AI is going to solve the pain point for them. And if the dealer would stop first before he jumps into bed with a vendor just because they announce that they freaking have AI and go, hang on a second, what pain point am I trying to solve? And then go to your 20 group or your several 20 groups, however many ever you're in, and go, look, I'm trying to solve this right now. I'm looking for the best company that has AI with it that will streamline this process for me. What do you guys have? Instead of like being wooed by another vendor that now just throws AI in there because it sounds sexy and it doesn't even know if it's solving a problem for them.
Yeah. And so that's what we didn't like want to be, right? Like, and so when I started back in last November with AutoAcquire as a strategic advisor, right? It was myself and Todd Caputo. And we both joined on as strategic advisors because we took a deep dive and looked within this organization, and we could look and say, okay, these guys have been really working on this for the last, call it 2 years of trying to build out this AI, and they have a chief AI officer, and they brought in, students, who went to school for coding and with a specialization in AI. And so we can look at that and go, okay, here's a company that's building something at the foundation to use AI versus the companies that said, you know what? Oh, well, we do AI too. Really what it is, it's a packaged up automation, or it's a, packaged up, chat GPT version, or, insert whatever you want, but it wasn't.
Yeah, or it's a white label, something that they got from somebody else and just added onto their thing, and they don't even really understand how it integrates.
Yeah. I mean, it like I started hearing about, and this goes back to when I was at Off Lease Only. I had the luxury that Off Lease Only was owned. It was a blessing and a curse in the end, right? Because we closed down, but we were owned by private equity. And so when you're owned by private equity, they have so many things at your fingertips, and they're willing to invest. They're willing to keep investing. And so I started hearing more about machine learning and what the capabilities are for that back in like 2021, when we started working on building out our acquisition team and trying to figure out ways to, hey, how do we do more with less? How do we continue to scale our company using the same 5 or 6 buyers to buy 1,000 cars? But how do we give them the tools and get them to buy 2,000 cars, right? So that was what we were solving for. So you think about today and what we're trying to solve for. Well, what are we solving for? Well,
Epic BDC is a proud sponsor of the Social Grenade podcast. Tune in.
Right now, the acquisition process is very disjointed to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you put all of that in a nice, tidy box and hand it to a dealer and go, now you can go out and you can compete with Carvana or CarMax because you have these tools, but you're not going to have to add all this overhead, because here are the things that we're using AI for. Here are the things that we're using automation for. And here's how the machine learning is going to work behind the scenes to keep you relevant, right? So all of those things really come into play. And I don't know that everyone looks at it through that lens. And I think that becomes the biggest challenge, is that more and more companies are going to pop up and go, yep, we're an AI-driven platform that will help you with acquisitions. Well, to your point, what are the hot buttons we know? I made a post about this a couple of days ago. The same conversations I had at NAMAD were the same conversations that I was having at AutoCon, which were the same conversations that I had at NADA, right? Like it's the same conversations around acquisitions and how do I get more inventory and how do I get quality inventory? And then how do I use AI to do it? Like the conversations really haven't changed that much, but in that time, since those conversations started, the technology has certainly changed.
Yeah. At a blistering pace.
Yeah. And people are just very slow to adopt it, which is part of the problem.
So I'm going to transition a little bit, because if I don't talk about social media at all, then I'm a sinner in my own eyes.
Yeah.
When you are working with dealers, like what is the strategy for acquisition on a social media level?
Good question. So, for me, like and I shared this with you, but I'll share it again. So when I think about, how do you launch a buy center? How do you make it so that your organization is an acquisition first
Right.
organization? You have to introduce it as that it's a stack, right? Like everyone talks in terms of, well, I have this great technology stack, and here's everything that I have in my technology stack.
Right.
But when you ask them about, hey, well, what's your acquisition stack look like? Like there's no really stack, right?
Right.
Like it's like a couple small pieces and
some old dude in a dusty office.
that's right. So when you think about that, like, I think at at the base of this is that social media and marketing campaign to simply put out there, we want to buy your car. I was talking to a dealership earlier today, and when you look at their website, there's nothing that screams we want to buy your car on their website, right? Like you have to go through several pages and you get to this page. And then when you get to that page, you click in and then it tells you to enter all this information. And then you know what it says at the very bottom of it? What car are you interested in? Type in the make.
It's not, what's the right word for that? It's not a solo thing. It's like, it's if this or then that, if this and that.
Right.
It's not clean.
Yeah. And so when you think about that, when you think about like, how do I target and get more people to come to me and sell me their vehicles? And how do I use social media to do that? Your social media campaign can't be, hey, I want to sell you a car. It's got to be, hey, I am the acquisition expert that wants to buy your car. Come into me for a free appraisal. Come into me, call me if you want a value on your car. I don't care what day, what time. I will put a value on your car.
Well, there has to be that buying hygiene, right? Like it really is holistically just about buying your vehicle.
Well, and that's why like my lane has never changed, right? Like I am an acquisition guy through and through. I believe in it. I love it. It's what I came into the industry back in 2003 doing. It's what I will continue to do for, until I retire. I don't want to do anything else because this is my passion. And so because people know that that's my passion, well, what happens, right? Even at CarMax, random friends, hey, dude, can you tell me what my car is worth? I'm at XY dealer down the street, and I really think they're kind of, they're trying to screw me over. Hey, well, why are you there in the first place? Why don't you come here? I'll appraise your car, right? And that was for a big corporation. Now, think about that if you're a smaller dealer and you have 5 or 6 people in your organization that are doing nothing but putting out there in the airwaves on social media, we buy cars, we'll put a value on your car, free appraisal. If you're doing that, especially, I can't understand in a smaller market why you wouldn't be screaming that from the rooftops, because you can absolutely own that market, and you own it through acquisitions, and then you own it by being able to sell it. So to me, I think social media is absolutely critical in trying to launch any sort of an acquisition campaign in a store, right? That's where everyone's living, right? Like I've even got my daughter doing it now. Like she's the unique car queen, right? And she puts random posts out there about how Unique Auto wants to buy your car. And she'll put just, like the other day, it was like a fall themed kind of, post. And I'm like, oh, it's just beautiful. But what's going to happen over time? She's going to become that person that if someone has a car question, they're going to reach out to her and say, hey, well, how do I sell my car? And she'll get to say, oh, I can get you an offer within minutes for your car. So
it's funny because I was at a store. I was at Peter Boulware Toyota in Tallahassee.
Oh yeah.
They have an in-house buying center. So they have 4 people dedicated to buying vehicles, whether from the auction or from private party. And so I was there training them on social media. And so I spent a lot of time in the office with them. And I'm like, look, I said, it can be funny or it can be serious. It doesn't matter. You need to let them know what types of vehicles that you buy. I said, if you decide that you're going to buy one that is just junk. I mean, it's dirty, like, but whatever. But underneath it, like it's a solid vehicle that you guys can detail and clean. I said, I would make that a funny video. I said, don't show the whole car because you don't want to offend the person who sold it to you. But like if there was a bunch of trash in it when you got it, then exacerbate that. Put a bunch more trash in the back seat. And then the video is just you opening the door and trash falling out, and then hide somebody on the other side of the car that's still pushing trash out. Like they're just pushing it. It just looks like, and go, you know what? We bought this car today, and I can't wait to show you what it's going to look like whenever we get it all cleaned up and back ready to put on the market. And then like the next week, if you buy a really nice clean one, that too, like I would do a video and add those effects. It had the little sparkles going everywhere when you're talking about this car, like it's just got golden gems, shimmers everywhere. And yes, we bought this Mercedes AMG as well, whatever it is, but you have to show the evidence of what you buy and the gamut of it. Because if you just show the Mercedes AMG, look what we just bought, then people who don't have a car that level will like go, they're not going to buy my car. They only buy cars at this level. You have to show them that entire gamut.
Yeah. And that's what we started doing even, a ways back. We started looking at that and saying, look, you know what, we need to put out there, one, that we will buy your GT3 for, $250,000. But guess what? We'll buy your $250 or $2,500 car too. Yeah. Like we're not going to discriminate. And so, again, that's, something that, I've been talking more and more about to dealers is, look, you have to be willing, if you're going to go on social media and say that you're going to buy every car, you have to be willing to buy them all.
For real.
I don't care if it's $100 car or a $200 car or a $200,000 car.
I mean, if you'll buy that $100 car, I'll come get it from you, because what I'm going to do is take it to a field somewhere and I'm going to blow it up, video it, and use it for content. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's right.
Not every car deserves to go back in the market. Some of the cars deserve this, and you like do this fake button and the whole thing blows up, Yeah. And I was talking to a friend of mine, Charlie Wohlberg, earlier, and I'm like, you know what? And then you can make a series out of it, right? Whenever you get a new car that you've bought in, you let the public blow. Are we going to blow it up? Or are we going to clean it up? You vote below, right? Like whether it's going to go back on the market or you're going to take it out and blow it up.
Yeah. And what a great marketing campaign, like even on the wholesale side, right?
Yes.
Like for, like I think about, my partner, Justin, and, and I look at what he does in trying to sell the best cars at the auction that he possibly can. Well, why not take a car and go, look, I'll sell you everything, but I won't sell you that one. Right. Yeah. Like I won't sell you that one because it's just, it's not a good car. Right. And the same thing applies, like, when you're trying to utilize, AutoAcquire. Like I've had some dealers who will say, well, you know what? Because I can control my own offers that are going out to the consumer, I don't want these cars. I'm going to turn my dial down all the way. And I'm like, well, why would you do that? You're hurting, one, your brand, because now people just think you're lowballing them. Two, you're hurting your staff because they're putting their name out there saying, hey, I'm going to buy every car. And then, that person who comes in and says, yeah, but you don't want to buy mine because look at this offer. How do they combat that? So, it's all of these things that they have to, like, there has to be synergy across them. And so that's why when I look at it and say, look, it really is about having this sort of buy-centered stack, is because each one of them, it's like Jenga, right? Like they all connect in some way to build this, sort of.
The I'm a Car Chick podcast is a proud sponsor of the Social Grenade podcast. Listen now.
Right, because even if it's something they're not going to turn and put back on their lot, they know what their wholesale buyers will buy.
That's right.
And they know this is going to be great for J&M Motors down the road. He comes every Monday and looks at whatever. We're going to put this over there in the lot of stuff that he gets to pick from.
Right. And you think about like what CarMax is really good at. CarMax is really good at buying every single car, and they're equally as good at selling the ones that they don't really want. And they know exactly who's going to come in, and they know exactly who's going to be bidding on it because they've tracked it. They have all the information and the data to go, hey, look, every time I have this car, this guy pays $5,000 for it. Even though MMR is only $3,000, he pays $5,000. So guess what? I'm going to be at $4,000 above MMR. I'm going to beat everybody out on that car, and everybody wins in that situation. So it certainly does go back to, again, just knowing your data and knowing all the information to make sure you're making the best decision. And then how do you use all of the pieces of the puzzle to bring it together?
Right. And so then if somebody does have a dedicated car buyer, like, why would it not make sense? What dealerships does it not make sense for them to not have AutoAcquire in their store?
So I mean, with AutoAcquire, like I don't like the small dealerships. Like there's not enough opportunities to expand that garage. So like, if you think about the independent dealer, they don't have a service drive, right? So all we're relying on their leads to come in to put offers on those vehicles. And then we can expand the lead. But if you're, like if you're a 30 store group, AutoAcquire may not make, or I'm sorry, a 30 car rooftop, AutoAcquire may not make sense for you at that time, right? But who does it make sense for? Well, those dealers that, have 100 cars on their lot and they're always struggling to buy inventory. I don't know why you wouldn't have this thing in your arsenal to be able to know, look, I want to get to the cars that CarMax and Carvana and all those others aren't going after and don't know about, right? Once a customer's listed their car for sale, now it becomes a feeding frenzy. Everybody's fighting for that car. But if I'm going after cars and putting offers on cars that haven't been listed because I know you own it, well, the very time that it comes for you to sell that car, I'm already top of mind. I've already beat the others to the punch.
Yeah.
So that's a huge value proposition. But, there's some things that, even within AutoAcquire that we're working on, like we believe like everyone, really should be able to have a widget on their website, right? That tells the customer that, hey, I want to buy your car. And it should be simple and it should not have any friction in that process. It should just be, hey, with your VIN, I can give you an offer on your car, right? Why dealers don't do it? Not sure, but I've been on websites that some dealers don't have it, or it's hidden, or it's, some other way. I spoke with a dealer who is still having people key in all of their information. And once all of the information is keyed in, they are individually giving that to somebody to put an offer on the car. It's not even automated. And it's like, well, why would you do that? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't understand how that makes that just, I don't even understand that. Right. Like, but some dealers are still stuck in thinking like it's too expensive. I can't afford it. So one of the things we're working on is how do we make that affordable and then still give the dealer the ability to control their own offers that are going out there.
Right. I love that. All right. So as we wrap up, if you had like 2 bits of advice for dealers that are out there struggling with acquisition right now and something that they could implement today, what would that be?
Wow. Well, one, if you're struggling with acquisitions, one, I would lean on some of the people out there in the industry to ask for help.
Okay.
I can't stress that enough, that reach out. Like, there's a number of people out there that have been doing this for a very, very long time that can absolutely assist and guide you with a strategy at least.
Mm-hmm.
The other part, I think about John Ellis and what he has built, right? Like, and I don't know if you've seen his Agile Auto, but what a great tool for just directing a used car manager to get better, right?
Sure.
Like, hey, I'm going to show you exactly what you need to do every single day to get better. So now you have this sort of AI virtual coach that's kind of guiding you. So that would be one, is reaching out to the people that are doing it, reaching out to those people that can help you. And then 2, really spend time and energy researching and investing the time to find the right tool for your organization.
Right. I love it. I have a dealer partner in Arizona. He's a pre-owned dealership and he sells about 250 pre-owned vehicles a month. But he has of the 400 vehicles that are on his lot, 250 of them are under $10,000. So he has kind of cornered the market in that part of the country right there on, those super solution vehicles. People don't really care what they're buying. They just really need a solution. They need a transportation solution. And his car buying, like his process, once but he's at auction. Like if they go to the auction, everybody else there that knows he's buying everything. So you might as well go home because he has to, right? And so I think about like for him, would this be a tool that would work for him?
Yeah, it certainly would be, right? Because now, those cars, like if he's playing in that under $10,000 market, think about that for a second. You're going to the auction and you're really taking the chance that you're going to buy a quality car at the auction that really you haven't had a chance to really, spend a lot of time with, right? What would happen if all of a sudden those cars were coming to your doorstep?
Right.
If all of a sudden you became that resource that, look, you want to sell a car that's back at $10,000, this is the guy who's going to pay you top dollar, provided the car smells good, drives good, looks good. He's going to pay you all the money for that car.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to not only give you money for the one that you brought to him, but he's probably going to give you money on the ones that you didn't bring to him as well. So for someone like that, like this is a perfect tool for him. And it's a perfect tool for, some of your big groups. Our biggest group right now is 34 stores and they have it in every rooftop, right? Like it's a perfect tool when you're trying to build sort of this centralized buy center mentality that, hey, look, I want consistent offers going out to everyone as an organization. I want to make sure that we're going to be like the big corporate players out there, that consistency and quality is key. This is a tool that's going to help me to get there. So
I love it. I'll set you up with a demo with them for sure, because like I think they need right now, most of their management team is focused on back of the house, like is focused on acquisition, triage, getting those vehicles turned and back on the lot at a steady pace.
Yeah.
And he really wants his managers to kind of move forward and be able to take on some more of the front side of the house, but they can't. They're so busy acquiring vehicles, they just can't. And so I think if there's anything that streamlines that for them will be a plus. So I will make a connection for you guys today.
Yeah, would love to talk to them and just at least share. Like the more we share what we're doing, it may not be for that dealer, but they'll say the next dealer, oh, you know what? I have somebody who can help you with that.
Yeah, for sure.
And again, I can't stress enough that the more we can take off the plate of the used car manager and that acquisition team, the better. And it really is about, like, when you think of the sales funnel, right? Like you think of, I want to put as many customers in that sales funnel as I possibly can. Sort of drips out at the bottom.
Right.
The same thing sort of applies with acquisitions. We're just doing it with VINs.
Right.
We're looking at the VINs as the person and saying, put as many VINs in that top end of the funnel and let's see what trickles out and make that easy for your people.
For real.
So
I love it. Frank, thank you for your time today. It's always good to peek behind the curtain of other vendors out there that are doing stuff that maybe I don't 100% understand. I know there's need, but I don't understand like all of the pain points of it, because I've never served in that position in the dealership. So I love it whenever I get to have these conversations, and it broadens my knowledge so that whenever I'm speaking to my dealers, I'm like going, hey, I know a guy. Like everybody has to have a guy, right? I know a guy.
Right.
So it just so helps. And how can people reach you?
They can reach me at frank@AutoAcquireAI.com, or I'm all over LinkedIn. So I'm sure people see me out there posting crazy stuff, but they can reach me through LinkedIn, through the messaging on there.
I will drop all of Frank's links in the show notes here so that you guys will have them, so you can reach out to him on the socials and on his email as well. So you guys do not miss the opportunity to connect with Frank. He's one of my favorite humans.
You're one of my favorite humans.
Oh, thanks. Okay, guys, have a great day. We will see you guys on the next episode of Social Grenade, and go kill it today.